Welcome to the Betting Pros PGA Podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice here with Bo McBrayer. We are here to preview the final major of the season, the British Open, which will be played. The British Open, the final major, the one in the UK.
I haven't heard somebody call that since 1999. Don't they say the Open Championship or the Open?
Yes,
it's just the Open.
You are
as if there's no other Opens. There's no other Opens in the world of golf, so it's the Open, like the Ohio State University.
Very fair, very fair. That's right. And
you though. I just don't want golf fans knocking down our door saying that we're outdated.
All right, your correction stands. So we are here to preview the final major of the season, the Open Championship, which will be played at Royal Troon, my second favorite Open Championship venue, behind only the Old Course at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
We're also going to recap the Scottish Open, and we will give you our one and done picks at the end of the show. The Betting Pros PGA Podcast is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to go for best ball fantasy football contests, but you might not have known that Underdog has golf contests too. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find Underdog in the App Store. And don't forget to register with the promo code BPGolf. Claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. More on Underdog and its golf contests a little later. Robert Macintyre is making a bid to become the second greatest Robert in the history of Scotland, behind only Robert the Bruce. Macintyre won the Scottish Open over the weekend at the Renaissance Club in North Berwick. He was 3 shots back with only 5 holes left to play. Then Macintyre went 4 under par on those last 5 holes. He made a spectacular eagle on the par 5 16th. Sticking a 247-yard approach shot to 6 feet. Then he rolled in a 22-foot birdie putt on the 18th to secure the win. Macintyre became the first native Scot to win the Scottish Open since Colin Montgomerie in 1999. It was Macintyre's second victory since the start of June. He also won the Canadian Open last month. Adam Scott finished 1 shot back. Played well all week, but Scott was probably kicking himself over a double bogey on the par 4 8th on Sunday. Also likely to be kicking himself today, Ludvig Aberg, who held the lead going into Sunday, but shot a sloppy final round 73. Aberg went 3 over par on the back 9 and finished in a tie for 4th, 4 shots behind Macintyre. Bo, your thoughts on the Scottish Open and Robert McIntyre's big win?
I mean, really impressive. I agree with you on Robert the Bruce comment because, I mean, those are lofty goals to be the #1 Robert in Scotland of all time. But he's on his way, and he didn't even have Dougie on the bag. His dad, obviously, the grass cutter from Scotland, the sacred ground, who won him the Canadian Open on the bag. That was a great moment. Bob McIntyre is becoming one of my favorite golfers just as a person. Like, you can tell he's just a good dude. He comes from a working class background. It's very endearing. Golf fans love stories of people who are just like them, or they're not coming from the country club lifestyle. We love those stories. We love guys like Bob the Lefty from Scotland winning the Scottish Open. That's incredible. And parlaying that into an Open Championship win in Scotland as well, that's going to be tough because there's kind of like a Madden curse going on. If you win the Scottish, I don't think anybody's ever won the Scottish and the Open back-to-back, have they?
Phil has
Phil
done
did.
it. I believe he's the only one who's ever done it.
Just Phil. Yeah. He's also a lefty. Also a lefty.
Ooh, maybe that's the key here, Bo. Phil Mickelson, Robert McIntyre. That would be interesting. We will get to our Open Championship preview in just a minute. But first, our friends at Underdog Fantasy are letting you make picks on your favorite golfers all season long. Just pick higher or lower on selected stats for 2 to 5 golfers, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single day. You can also make rivals picks where you choose, for instance, which of 2 golfers will shoot a better score in a round. Golf picks can be combined with player stats from other sports too. Go sign up at Underdog Fantasy with the promo code BPGolf to claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. The Open returns to Royal Troon, a links course with all sorts of character. It's a par 71 that will play to 7,385 yards. The greens are fescue, and they are small by the standards of a typical Scottish links course. Very small. Scrambling is going to be extremely important because even the most precise ball strikers are going to miss greens at Royal Troon. Part of what gives Troon its character is its routing, which you might call graduated routing. The course is unofficially divided into 3 6-hole sections or acts almost. The first 6 holes have been labeled heaven. The first 3 holes, all par fours measuring under 400 yards, and the wind is often in the player's favor as they head out away from the clubhouse. The 4th and 6th holes, reachable par fives. The 5th hole, 220-yard par 3. The first 6 holes are also pretty flat compared to the rest of the course, but the next 6 holes, holes 7 through 12, they are known as purgatory, and the terrain starts to get bumpier. Holes 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all par fours ranging from 440 to 498 yards. So the holes start to get a little longer. Some of those holes will play with the wind, some against. And then the final 6 holes are known as hell. There are no short holes in this home stretch. Par is a very good score. And
Nasty.
these holes typically play into the wind that blows in off the Firth of Clyde. So,
Damn Clyde.
iconic holes. Troon has a couple of them. There's the 8th, the famous postage stamp, a tiny 123-yard par 3 that plays from an elevated tee to a minuscule green below, which is guarded by 3 pot bunkers. What a nervy tee shot that can be if the wind is up.
Yeah.
Bo, you've talked about that being a little bit like the Scottish version of the 7th at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, except the green's like a quarter of the size. So if the wind's up, just imagine how long the ball has to travel in the air for a shot that short. You have to hit the ball up in the air, and if the wind is up and it's even if it's with you or crosswinds, it doesn't matter. If the wind is up, that hole's almost impossible to find that tiny little green, even from that short of a distance. And if you find yourself in one of those bunkers or in that fescue around the bunkers, you're looking at a 5.
And then there's the par 4 11th, known as the Railway. There's a railway running all the way down the right side of this 498-yard hole. And basically everything right of the fairway is out of bounds. And oh, by the way, the wind typically blows from left to right, pushing balls toward the railway. Pot bunkers everywhere at Troon. There are gorse bushes, many of them found around the greens, ready to ensnare errant approach shots. Bumps and moguls will send golf balls caroming off in all sorts of unwanted directions. The rough is reportedly thick and snarly this year, thanks to an abundance of rain. It is a tough course if it's windy, conquerable if it's calm. So, will it be windy? As of now, the forecast is calling for morning showers on Thursday with winds of 10 to 20 miles an hour. On Friday, cloudy conditions with winds of 10 to 15 miles an hour. Saturday and Sunday, occasional showers, winds anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour. So breezy, not terribly gusty. But as you mentioned last week, Bo, weather forecasts don't mean all that much on the coast of Scotland. Then again, the forecast did call for mostly benign conditions for the Scottish Open last week, and the conditions were indeed mostly benign. By the way, when the Open Championship was last held at Troon in 2016, Henrik Stenson outlasted the aforementioned Phil Mickelson in a memorable head-to-head duel on Sunday. Stenson shot a final round 63 to finish a minus 20. Bo, your thoughts on Royal Troon and what attributes you are emphasizing in your evaluation of players' chances this week?
So Troon is my third favorite course on the road. You said old course, obviously number one for a lot of people. It's the same for me. My number 2 is Carnoustie. Number 3 for me is Royal Troon. Troon is a classic links course, and I do like that the greens are smaller because the wind matters more. I'm a carnage guy. I love carnage. And the only time you're going to get carnage in Scotland is if the wind is blowing off the Firth of Clyde. That Clyde was a cantankerous bugger because, I mean, if you're going through the hell holes of what is it, 13 through 18, yeah, good luck if that wind is up in your face with how long those par fours are coming down the stretch. This course could vary very widely. It can be a 15-shot swing based on how much wind they get. I don't think rain really plays into the scoring because the greens are slow anyway. I'm looking at the second shots and the third shots. The third shots being your birdie putts or your recovery shots. If you miss the green, being able to chip and get up and down here is essential. So, although I'm taking a wide brush approach to tee to green metrics, I'm putting a ton of emphasis on bogey avoidance and around the green and overall short game. That's going to be so important here. And there's a lot of golfers here that are down the list of odds that are going to have a good shot at winning this thing because their short game is so strong.
Yeah, chipping, all important in talking about the size of those greens. But I'm not sure where I saw this, but I thought I saw that the total surface area of the greens at Troon is about a quarter of the size of the total surface area of the greens at the Old Course. So, yeah, there is not a lot to try to hit, and players are just going to miss greens. They have to scramble.
You can fit that postage stamp green in my living room. That's not even a flex.
Now, if you want a chance to win a free 1-year premium Betting Pros subscription, you need to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now. Comment below in this video, and that's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. And speaking of Betting Pros Premium, with a premium Betting Pros subscription, you'll have full access to our new Betting Pros betting systems feature, which is designed to help you find winning trends and make smarter bets. Create and customize your own systems by sport, bet type, time frame, or other selected parameters in order to find the most profitable betting systems, or excuse me, the most profitable betting opportunities. Not only can you make your own systems, you can follow other users' systems to track profitability and to tail upcoming bets on the MLB, the NBA, the NFL, and college football. Download and use the Betting Pros app today to find profitable betting systems now. Let's get to the odds for the Open. All odds courtesy of DraftKings as of late Monday afternoon. Scottie Scheffler, the number one player in the world, is the favorite at plus 450. Rory Mcllroy is plus 750. Xander Schauffele plus 1100. Ludvig Aberg plus 1400. Collin Morikawa and Bryson DeChambeau plus 1600. Tommy Fleetwood and Jon Rahm plus 2200. Tyrrell Hatton plus 2500. Viktor Hovland plus 2800. Brooks Koepka plus 3,000. At plus 4,000, we have a big group with Tony Finau, Tom Kim, Shane Lowry, Robert McIntyre, and Patrick Cantlay. And at plus 4,500 are Joaquin Niemann, Hideki Matsuyama, and Cameron Smith. Who do you like from this group, Bo?
So a lot of these names are obviously huge names in the world of golf. You got Scotty, obviously. I'm not a huge fan of Scotty on links courses. He's had moderate success at the Open throughout his career. I think his best finish is 8th a few years ago.
Yeah,
I
8, 21, and 23 in his previous 3 Opens.
Yeah, that it's not his style of golf. I mean, there was a reason why he hadn't won after the month of May in his whole career until this season. He's typically not going to be as strong where you have to flight the ball down. He's a high ball hitter. He's very good when he can hit those high approach shots. Rory McIlroy is my favorite at plus 750 with a plus 190 kicker. This guy is playing out of his mind, even though he blew it at the U.S. Open, even though he had a ho-hum top 5 finish at the Scottish last week. This guy's still blazing hot. This guy can still bring a golf course to its knees regardless of weather. And there is an advantage that he has that most of these other golfers in the field do not have, which is he can bomb and gouge tactically. He can go down there 350 yards and put himself in approach positions that nobody else can. And that's a weapon that he has that, again, nobody else really has besides maybe Bryson. And I do like Bryson, but his odds are a little short. I'm sure you're going to talk about him because he's a big fan. A lot of these guys in this first tier are just too short. I mean, I love Rory here, but I can take a little pass on most of these next guys because my next favorite is Cameron Smith at 45-1. Cameron Smith's short game is the best. So funny when I run my model and he's up at the top. It's shocking to see the guy with the really great short game, probably the best in the world, at the top of the model that I weighted heavily towards short game.
One of the best mullets in the world, too. But yes, he is a true
Yes.
short game artist. And you said it, like some of these guys, the odds are just too short. Cameron Smith at plus 4,500.
It's very, very soft.
Yes,
I believe
yes.
he won the Open 2 years ago at St. Andrews
That
at
is
the old
correct.
course.
He, in fact, did. Bryson, terrific in majors this year, won the U.S. Open, second at the PGA, sixth at the Masters. Um, he hasn't really shown much aptitude for links golf, though. Eighth at St. Andrews in 2022, the year Cam Smith won, but that was by far his best Open Championship finish. Yeah, 60th last year at Hoylake. So I just don't know. I mean, I can picture Bryson taking shots at several of those first few greens in the heaven part of the course, but I could also see Bryson getting into some trouble. We saw how errant he was with the driver on the last day at the U.S. Open. Like if that
Yeah.
happens to him at Troon, he's in deep trouble. Uh,
Yeah.
but but what about Xander? Xander Schauffele won the PGA in May, and he's finished top 15 in the 4 events he's appeared in since, including an eighth at the U.S. Open. He's finished between 15th and 26th in his last 3 Opens, and he was second at Carnoustie back in 2018. You like him at all?
I do if the conditions start to look like they're going to be worse. Xander Schauffele is not a birdie maker, and especially he's not a birdie maker when the conditions are tough. But he's a good grinder, and his short game is outstanding. He's a great bet if I'm looking at a weather report that looks like the wind's going to pick up. Same goes with Bryson. Bryson's stats look much better when the conditions are tougher than when they're easy. The opposite can be true for Ludvig Aberg, where as we saw the conditions get a little bit more blustery, that I mean, even North Bear kind of threw him through a knot on Sunday. Where if once that breeze picked up, Ludwig was lost. His approach game went from pretty good to really bad, and his short game has always been a weakness. So Ludvig Oberg very needs really mild conditions for him to be anywhere close to a good number at 14. But Xander and Bryson, I'll be looking at if the weather report starts to look iffy. Same goes with Collin Morikawa and Viktor Hovland. Hovland's number at 28-1 is very intriguing, especially if I get a weather report that says the wind is going to be up. Viktor Hovland's a dangerous player. When the wind is up, he's as good as it gets when the conditions are tough.
Yeah, Hovland has finished no worse than 13th in any of his 3 previous Opens. Just hasn't been in great form. Missed the cut at the U.S. Open, 46th at the Scottish Open. Morikawa, he's interesting. Like he's missed the cut in his last 2 Opens, but he won at St. George's
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. So
Yep.
it does seem like he needs certain types of conditions. But you
Yeah.
think bad weather favors him more than benign conditions?
Yeah, I just think that his ability to strike the ball consistently with his irons is a weapon, especially when the wind is up. He's more creative. He's more consistent with his irons than a lot of these guys. He just seems like it's the kind of thing where the better golfers usually rise to the top when the conditions get tougher, and some of these guys that maybe aren't new to the game, haven't been very experienced with this type of golf where it can turn ugly on the weather report. I think that plays a part in who we bet. Where these younger guys, I might want to keep in my back pocket if the weather's going to be nice and mild. But even guys down there like Shane Lowry are going to be great if the weather turns bad.
Let's talk about a few of the live guys. Brooks Koepka, Tyrrell Hatton, and Jon Rahm. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems like no one is talking about Koepka and Rahm going into a major, which seems very strange. Like Rahm finished second at Hoylake last year, third at Royal St. George's in 2021, but he's not played well in majors at all this year and is dealing with a toe injury. Koepka just, I don't know, hasn't been in the best of form. I'm actually most interested in Tyrrell Hatton out of all these guys, Bo. I mean, he finished
Oh, yeah.
fifth at Troon back in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and he has finished top 20 in 3 of his last 4 Opens. Hatton finished third in his most recent Live Tour event, won his second most recent Live Tour event, has a nice all around game. I'm mildly interested in Tyrrell Hatton more so than Koepka or Rahm.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm also like the majors haven't been kind to Tyrrell Hatton at the end of the day because if you look at his short game overall, it's not very good. We're looking at 110th in this field in strokes gained short game. He dropped down to 32nd in my model because of that. Koepka's not far ahead of him at 29th for the same reason, short game. So I think on a course like Troon, where the short game is going to be put under a lot of stress, I'm probably fading both of those guys. The only guy I think out of the live guys is ironically Bryson and Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah, Louis been in pretty good form lately, and of course, won the Open Championship, excuse me, at St. Andrews a while back. So he's kind of intriguing. What about one more guy I want to ask you about from this group, Bo? Mr. Robert McIntyre. I mean, he just won the Scottish Open. He finished top 10 in his first two Open Championship appearances, though he's finished 34th and 71st in his last two. And obviously, he's going to have the Scottish galleries in his corner.
He'll have me in his corner, too. I'll be screaming all the way from California. He's a great ball striker. I'll give him that. He's a great player, solid all-around player. He hasn't really given himself a lot of scoring opportunities compared to this field, and his short game overall has been kind of iffy. He's not a great putter. We've seen that kind of come around on occasion where he missed quite a few cuts over the last few months because his putting was so bad. But right now he's on a heater and he's still home. I mean, he had to make his way to the other side of Scotland for this event and the press conference. that was a challenge, but I think that he's going to be right at home here. 40-1, I've done dumber things with a few bucks. It's a feel good kind of bet. It's a fandom kind of bet. I don't like to do a lot of those because they don't usually end up well as a smart bettor. But I mean, sometimes you just want to throw a couple bucks on a guy that you want to see succeed. And that would be the kind of bet I would place on Macintyre, who does rate out pretty well in my model.
Yeah, he's won twice in the last month and a half, and he's also missed the cut in 6 of his last 13 events. He is a sticky lad.
He is a gambler's golfer.
Moving on to the mid-range options, Sahith Theegala, Adam Scott, and Aaron Rai are plus 5,500. At plus 6,000 are Wyndham Clark, Sungjae Im, Minwoo Lee, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, and defending champion golfer of the year, Brian Harman. Then we drop down all the way to plus 9,000 with Russell Henley, Alex Noren, and Akshay Bhatia. And at 100-1, Siwoo Kim, Sepp Straka, Max Homa, and Davis Thompson. Does anyone from this group appeal to you, Bo?
Yes, I really, really like to go right back to the well with Justin Thomas. He was the first round leader last week at the Renaissance Club, and then he kind of fell apart. I was encouraged by that first round. I think he had a couple blow up holes that just kind of killed his chances to compete the rest of the week. But at 60-1, Justin Thomas, that's an insult price because he's playing really well. And then we mentioned Louis Oosthuizen. He's top 10 in my model. He's playing super well for how his odds have gone. And those are the two guys I have circled in this range. A lot of guys are going to gravitate to Cam Young because he was runner-up twice in this event. He just doesn't have any of that game this year. He's been hot on easy golf courses where birdies come easily to him, but he still hasn't put it together. His short game's as bad as it gets on tour. It's going to get exposed here. And then the rest of my guys are long shots, and that's kind of what I'm leaning on, or kind of loading up on favorites and then taking some birdshot approach to the long shots here.
Yeah, I thought about Cameron Young just based on his past performances at the Open. Twice, two previous appearances, second at St. Andrews in 2022 and eighth last year at Hoylake. And he's also finished top 10 in his last two events. But as you said, it just doesn't seem logical. Like not a Troon anyway.
And his mental game's in shambles.
Yeah, what are we getting Usti at right now? Is that
plus 6,500?
Plus 6,500. I neglected to mention him. Adam Scott is actually old enough to have played in two previous Open Championships at Royal Troon, finishing 42nd and 43rd.
Shots fired.
But he has had 5 top 10s at the Open over his career, and he was very dialed in at the Scottish. Aside from that troublesome 8th hole, any interest in him, Bo, or just do you think that was sort of a one-off for Adam Scott?
I mean, it was impressive, and this guy has tons of experience. His putting is disgusting. That weird center shafted long putter that he's used. Dude, go to a traditional putter. You've never been good with the long putter. Like his whole career since he switched to a long putter, even when he was anchoring, he was a terrible putter. Just go with the traditional. Change it up. Be better at putting, especially in the clutch moments. Some of those putts he made on that he was lining up on Sunday, you could tell it wasn't going to hit the hole. It was he's in his head with this aim point stuff, and a lot of these guys are getting better at using aim point, even though it's a little slower. Adam Scott's not putting well with aim point. Ditch it, man. I can't watch it. I guess he's a fine pick for the odds, but I don't like watching him because it's just infuriating to watch him line up a putt four inches outside the cup when it's dead straight 3-footer, and he just blasts it through the break even on top of that.
Now, one guy who has been putting really well, Aaron Rai. He
Yes.
continued his strong recent run at the Scottish Open, finishing 4th. He has now finished 2nd, 7th, and 4th over the last 3 weeks, and he was top 20 in the 2 events before that. In 2 previous Open appearances, he has a 19th and a missed cut. Any interest in Rai at all?
No.
Yeah, just
He's
not enough pedigree.
his putting has been better of late, but he's still 119th in strokes gained short game, which incorporates around the green and putting. That's not going to play here. He's very straight off the tee. Most of these guys are going to be able to find the fairways. He's going to find plenty of fairways. He's going to be right down the middle, usually pretty normal distance, and his approach game's okay. His short game's so bad that I just can't picture him competing here.
What about long shots? Anyone with odds beyond 100 to 1?
Funny you should ask. Actually, I was going to mention Akshay Bhatia here at 90 to 1. That's
Okay.
that's one of my favorite picks because of his ability to make birdies with the wedge in hand. He might have some trouble with the last 6 holes on this course when they're going through hell. Those are going to be tough on everybody, especially tough on him with his approach game outside of 150 yards not being very good. But this guy makes birdies in bunches at all sorts of different places of this length. And he's a really good wind player. He's a really good adjustable ball striker. I think that's an underrated part of his game. 110 to 1 for Sam Burns feels like it's a mistake. He's as pretty much as solid as it gets across the board. He's an outstanding putter and great at avoiding bogeys. He annihilates par 4s and par 5s, and he's the 4th best birdie maker in this field, especially when conditions are tough. I think that Sam Burns is a very live candidate to pay off at 110 to 1, as well as with top 10 and top 20 money rolling in with those outright odds. You're going to get great value on placement bets on a guy like that. And then at 120 to 1, I have Christiaan Bezuidenhout at 120. He's another guy with an outstanding short game that's just mispriced. He's playing really good golf this year. 41st in bogey avoidance, number 7 around the green, number 2 overall short game, and he can score. This is a guy who scores well when the conditions get tougher. He's another misprice. And I'm going to go back to France for my longest shot, and that's Viktor Perez. 200 to 1. Viktor Perez he's just a great golfer, and his numbers don't back it up. This is one of my feel-good picks based on recent form. I think that he's gonna navigate his way around this golf course pretty well. Again, especially in his case, if the weather stays calm.
Bo, it's kind of jaw-dropping to see Dustin Johnson at 120 to 1. And
Yeah.
yet it's pretty warranted based on how he's played in majors this year. Any
Yeah.
hope for him? Because this is a guy who once had just this fearsome combination of power off the tee and
Mm-hmm.
touch around the greens. Is it gone, or is this worth a very small outright bet, hoping to catch lightning in a bottle?
Maybe last year I would have done that, but this year I haven't seen anything in his demeanor, in his form, that would indicate that he's ready to play for a major event, that he wants to play great golf. Like, just showing up is fine, but he's not playing as focused as he could be. When he was back in his prime, number one golfer in the world, he was just taking golf courses and destroying them. He doesn't even seem to be interested in doing that anymore. He's just out there playing around a golf, and it's fun for, if you're playing around a golf at Royal Troon, it's pretty fun and the environment's great. But if you're not trying to win, then I'm not going to try to bet on you to win. I don't think he's trying to win anymore. I don't think he cares. So I'd much rather play Phil Mickelson at 350 to 1. He rates out better. He's played better in the Open Championship over his career. And you might remember he was another power player with a really good touch around the greens at a certain time. Pretty recently, actually, with some of his finishes at the Masters of late. Phil Mickelson still wants it, still wants to play well at the Open. He's a prior winner at the Open. It's just all the stars are aligning for him to at least pay off a top 20 or top 40 bet. I'd much rather play for and root for Phil Mickelson than Dustin Johnson, who I haven't seen care about a golf tournament in 2 years.
And we have seen some golden oldies contend in Open Championships, most memorably Tom Watson, who might have won it at 58 or 59, were it not for a really bad bounce on his approach shot on the 18th hole.
Experience plays in links golf. It really does. Like,
it does
Tiger
indeed.
probably would have a better chance to win another Open Championship versus any other major because he knows how to play around these courses. He knows where to avoid. I mean, he famously played St. Andrews 4 rounds and won by a landslide without hitting a single one of those 111 bunkers. He didn't find a single one of them in 4 days. That's the experience, the savvy with the game, knowing where to put the ball, even when the conditions are crazy difficult. I don't see Dustin Johnson even paying attention to that.
Who do you have on your betting card as of now, Bo?
So I'm starting right at the top with Rory McIlroy, and I'm going to throw a little bit on Viktor Hovland at 28 to 1, but my main bets are going to be on Cameron Smith and Akshay Bhatia, with a little bit of Sam Burns, a little bit of Christiaan Bezuidenhout, and a big-time flyer on Victor Perez. And I might have talked myself into throwing a couple bucks on old Phil Mickelson because, who doesn't love a lefty?
I'm going to bet Xander. I have a feeling about Xander, just like I had a feeling about Oberg last week, which didn't quite work out, although it looked good
So
for
close.
3 days. I like Tyrrell Hatton this week, Bo. I'm going to bet Tyrrell Hatton outright. I'm going to bet Robert McIntyre outright to, end the Madden curse at the Scottish Open and Open Championship. I'm absolutely on Cam Smith for both an outright and a top 5 at plus 900 on DraftKings. And I'm going to try Aaron Rai for a top 5. He's just in such good form lately. Understand your concerns, but I'm going to go with that. Now, before we get to our one and done picks, if you're playing in a one and done golf pool, or if you're playing in any sort of tiers based majors pool this year, our friends at Pool Genius have a new product that gives you an edge using objective data like betting odds, course performance, and national pick trends. The tool highlights the top value picks that give you an edge, and it can all be customized specifically for your pool. If you're doing a one and done pool or a majors pool, let Pool Genius be your secret weapon. And hey, if you stand to win a tiers based majors pool, this is the tool you need to put you over the top and get that sweet, sweet money. And by the way, Pool Genius isn't just for golf pools. You can use it for March Madness pools, NFL Survivor pools, and more for 10% off on the majors tool and for up to 55% off in yearly packages that include all golf, football, and March Madness tools. Visit poolgenius.com/fantasypros. Again, that's poolgenius.com/fantasypros. Now for the one and done picks. Last week, Bo took Matt Fitzpatrick. He finished tied for 39th, which is worth $35,550. I took Ludvig Aberg, who slept on a lead Saturday night and then did not rise to the occasion on Sunday. He did finish tied for 4th, good for $330,750. So I chipped away at Bo's commanding lead, but did not take an axe to that lead the way I wanted to.
Didn't even break the skin, Pat.
I pick first this week, and for the record, Bo's still up by about 3.7 million or so. I pick first this week. Bo, this might surprise you, but I am going to take the eternally sunny dispositioned Tyrrell Hatton. He's been playing really well. He, like I know the short game may be a bit of a concern, but he's been flashing a nice all around skill set lately. He's an Englishman, so he's no stranger to links golf. And since he's now on the Live Tour, it's use him or lose him for me in the one and done. What about you, Bo? Who you got?
So I'm using a Live guy myself. I'm going to use the mulleted Aussie that you used at the U.S. Open, Cameron Smith.
Man, I won't be able to cheer against you because I'm going to have my money on Cam Smith in two different ways. So,
hey, you can always root for me anytime.
Best of luck to you, Bo. And that's all for this week's show. I want to thank our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Sign up for Underdog with the promo code BPGolf. Claim your special pick and to get a first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. And please come join Bo and I again next week when we'll be previewing the 3M Open in Minnesota. Until then, so long, everyone.